My friend suddenly announced she had a boyfriend. The caption read, "I'm not good with words. I just want to see you." In that instant, my Snapchat exploded. All our mutual friends bombarded me with messages. "Charlotte, wasn't Gabriel supposed to be your boyfriend?" "Indeed. Why wasn't I Gabriel Silva's girlfriend?" Before I could process what was happening, Gabriel sent me a message. "So, what do you think? Isn't my boyfriend handsome?" Each word felt like a knife twisting in my heart. My hands were trembling so much that I could barely see the screen through my blurred vision. He must have grown impatient waiting for a response because he sent another message. "My boyfriend knows we're close. I don't want him to get the wrong idea, so maybe it's better if you don't reach out to me for a while." I read his messages over and over, then tossed my phone aside and broke down in tears. Over all these years, everyone knew I loved Gabriel. Everyone, except Gabriel himself. He always thought I was just his best friend, his family without blood ties. In this world, if we're talking about who knows Gabriel Silva best, I, Charlotte Mason, would say there's no one who knows him better than I do. I know he likes egg pancakes without green onions, beef noodles without cilantro, winter hoodies without hoods, and that his sneakers are half a size bigger than his regular shoes. I made all his literature notes since we were kids, and when he started college, I was the one who bought his first set of formal clothes. I used to be proud of the space I occupied in Gabriel's life. I thought no one else could leave as many marks in his life as I did. I thought there was just one small step left between us, one opportunity that would make everything fall into place naturally. But I never got that opportunity. Instead, I had to face the fact that Gabriel now had a boyfriend. He kept chatting nonstop on Snapchat, telling me how amazing his new boyfriend was, how he surprisingly liked green onions and cilantro. And now Gabriel liked them too because his boyfriend did. He shared photos of the hooded sweatshirt his boyfriend bought for him, saying he loved it so much he'd wear it every day. He even mentioned how cute it was that his boyfriend bought sneakers that were too small for him. Every word felt like it was erasing my past. Finally, he sent me one last message. "Charlotte, my boyfriend said that if you can bring us some condoms, he'll believe we're just friends. Hurry and bring them here." He even attached the address of a hotel. Gabriel's audacity with me was entirely my own doing. Since childhood, I had always given him everything he wanted. If he asked for the stars, I would have built a ladder to fetch them. Even his mom used to say there wasn't anyone else in the world who would be as good to him as I was. It was precisely because I was so good to him that he took advantage of me. He took me for granted. I wiped my tears and actually went there. When I arrived, he was already impatient, waiting. As soon as he opened the door, he snatched the condoms from my hand and gave me a dirty look. "Charlotte, what took you so long?" My boyfriend almost got suspicious of me. He didn't even give me a chance to respond before slamming the door in my face. Before the door closed, I caught a glimpse of the guy. He was wrapped in a towel, his hair loose, water droplets still clinging to his skin. I saw Gabriel walking eagerly toward him, ready to embrace him. Tears streamed uncontrollably down my face. I didn't want to look so pathetic in front of Gabriel, so I tried to cover my mouth, but I couldn't hold back a sob. Suddenly, I felt like a complete joke. I wiped my tears and tried to send him a message in the calmest tone I could manage. "Gabriel, I won't bother you anymore." After sending it, I blocked him. Gabriel and I had known each other since we were kids. After more than 20 years, there were so many memories. Just the photos of us together took up over 30 gigabytes on my phone. I deleted them all. Not just that, I also deleted all those silly photos we had taken together years ago from my social media accounts. I decided, from today on, I would no longer love Gabriel Silva. The next day, after class, Gabriel cornered me. He looked at me, exasperated, as if I were the unreasonable one in this situation. "Charlotte, what's your problem?" "I admit it's impossible to forget someone you've loved for so long." Overnight, seeing him again, my heart. I pretended nothing was wrong and acted like I hadn't heard him. He was clearly getting impatient. "You're making my boyfriend uncomfortable. He thinks it's his fault that we're not talking." I looked at him, feeling a bitter taste in my mouth. Unable to say a word, I just quickened my pace to leave. Gabriel shouted behind me, "Damn it, Charlotte. Are you getting too full of yourself? Making such a fuss just because your friend is dating someone? My boyfriend is right. You're acting possessive. Don't tell me you actually like me." I stopped in my tracks and turned to face him. Suddenly, I felt the urge to lay it all out. And what if I said yes? Gabriel awkwardly rubbed his fingers, seemingly caught off guard by my response. I was just kidding. I have to go. We'll talk later, okay? For the next 2 months, Gabriel didn't contact me, and I didn't reach out to him either. I heard he was getting serious with his boyfriend. They even signed up for a group trip during the summer break. My friends were indignant about it and messaged me to complain. Does Gabriel have no heart? How can he be so public about it? Doesn't he care about how much he's hurting you? I paused for a moment before replying. Let him be. It'll get better. Slowly, while Gabriel flaunted his relationship, I cried silently in pain for several nights. But I forced myself not to think about it, not to ask anything. Later, I truly stopped thinking about it. I started focusing on my studies, keeping myself busy every day. Until one day, my roommate informed me that I had appeared on the university's confession wall. The confession was simple. Charlotte Mason, second year, economics. I, Mason Carter, have decided you're the one for me. Well, to be honest, I found it a bit underwhelming. Who still uses these cheesy, domineering pickup lines these days? I didn't take it seriously, thinking it was just some prank. But what I didn't expect was that Mason Carter really started pursuing me determinedly. Because of what happened with Gabriel, I was extremely averse to the idea of dating, so I was very cold toward him. But he never got discouraged. In fact, he seemed to become more determined with each rejection. At first, every time I left the library, there he was waiting, always holding a cup of my favorite cheese grape tea. He would hand it to me as soon as I came out. At first, I refused to accept it, but he didn't get upset. He just smiled and said, "Charlotte, I already bought it. It'd be such a waste. If you really don't want it, why don't you just transfer me the monies?" And just like that, he managed to get my Snapchat contact. I thought giving him my contact might be troublesome, but Mason was very considerate. He would only occasionally like or comment on my posts, rarely disturbing my life. Gradually, I even started to get used to it. After a while, when I tried to transfer him money for the milk tea, he refused again, giving a very reasonable explanation. "We're so close now. Treating you to a milk tea is the least I can do." Reading that message, I found myself sprawled on my bed, laughing uncontrollably. I never thought this guy would be so good at winning someone over. He handled the boundaries between men and women just right. I started to enjoy interacting with him. After all, who doesn't like a good-looking guy who knows how to treat someone well? As I got to know him better, I found out that Mason's college entrance exam score was over 30 points higher than our university's admission cutoff. I couldn't understand it. "Then why did you come here?" He seemed a little embarrassed for the first time, scratching his head. "Because the person I like is here." The atmosphere suddenly became a bit awkward. I coughed uncomfortably. "With 600 points, you don't seem like the type of person who would write that kind of confession." This time, he was even more embarrassed, a blush quickly spreading across his face. That was posted by my roommates. They were just messing around. Mason was very handsome, more than just conventionally attractive. Growing up, the most beautiful person I had ever seen was Gabriel. But looking closely, Mason didn't seem any less attractive than him. As I stared at him for a while, I suddenly realized I hadn't thought about Gabriel for quite some time. He really seemed to have disappeared from my life. Mason started occupying my time every day. He would find new ways to cater to my preferences. I didn't like eating breakfast in the cafeteria, so he would wake up 2 hours early to buy breakfast for me from my favorite store. It wasn't just for me, my roommates also benefited. Every time he brought something to my dorm, he'd bring a portion for them too, ensuring everyone got something, while my share was always the best. If I posted on social media in the morning saying I wanted to go out in the afternoon, he would already be dressed and ready to take me on a suburban outing. When I casually mentioned wanting to eat a strawberry cake, that same evening I received a strawberry cake he had bought. It had the logo of the rice shop from the South family. This shop was near my home. I looked at him, surprised. "When did you go to buy this?" Mason seemed a bit embarrassed, still catching his breath. "I went as soon as I saw your post. I was playing ball with my roommates in the afternoon, and saw it a bit late. I almost didn't make it in time." This shop had always been popular. It had been there since I was little, but the owner was someone who really knew how to live well. Without fail, he closed the shop every day at 5 p.m., regardless of whether there were still customers or not. I knew this so well because I had passed by that shop countless times but never bought anything. Their prices were about a third higher than other places. Even my mom only bought one for me each year, on my birthday. I could never bring myself to buy one, but I always craved it. Every time Gabriel saw me looking at the shop, he would mess up my hair and console me like a child. "Don't look anymore, little one. Gabriel will buy one for you next time." But year after year, I waited, and it never happened. There was always an excuse. He spent all his allowance, or he didn't have time to buy it, and so on. Back then, I believed him. Now, looking at the small 6-inch strawberry cake in Mason's hands, I suddenly felt my eyes fill with tears. So, if someone really wanted to buy it, it only took 2 hours. When I looked at the strawberry cake in Mason's hands, something inside me finally broke. It wasn't anger at him, but at everything I had tolerated for years. All the empty promises, the lame excuses, the way Gabriel always made me feel less important, as if my dedication was his right, not a privilege. And now here was Mason, sweaty, tired, but smiling, holding something that seemed small to him but was proof to me that I had never been asking for too much. I had just wanted to be seen, to be valued. I thanked Mason for the cake, but he noticed my cold tone, my distant look. "Are you okay, Charlotte?" he asked, concerned. I forced a smile, but it wasn't convincing. I knew I couldn't unload everything on him. He didn't deserve it. I told him I was just tired and needed some time alone. Mason, of course, respected that, as he always did, and left, saying he'd be around if I needed anything. As soon as I was alone, I sat on my bed and stared at the cake. How could something so small hurt so much? It wasn't just the cake. It was the symbolism. It was proof that for years I had been a fool. Gabriel knew I loved him. Of course he knew. It wasn't something I hid well. He had taken advantage of that, not in an obvious way, but subtly, manipulatively. He knew exactly how to keep me close, how to feed my hope without ever giving me anything in return. I ran my hands over my face, feeling the tears fall before I even realized I was crying. I knew I shouldn't think about him anymore, that I needed to move on. But how? How could I forget all those years, all those times when he made me feel special, only to remind me later that I wasn't? Without realizing it, I picked up my phone and opened our old conversations. There were all his messages, every kind word, every request, every excuse. It was like reading the story of someone who had never really existed, a version of Gabriel I had invented in my head. Before I could change my mind, I selected everything and deleted it. That night, I decided I needed to face Gabriel one last time. I knew he was back in town because of a social media post. He was with his boyfriend, of course, flaunting that perfect relationship as he always did. I sent him a short message. "We need to talk. Just you and me." He took a while to respond, but eventually he agreed. We arranged to meet at a cafe downtown. When I arrived, he was already there, wearing that same confident smile, as if nothing had happened. "Charlotte, what a surprise. I thought you'd never want to see me again," he said, laughing as if we were old friends. I sat down, crossing my arms. "I won't take up much of your time. I just need to say a few things." He raised his eyebrows but still seemed relaxed, as if nothing I said could affect him. "Listen, Gabriel, I loved you for years. You knew that. Everyone knew that. But what you did to me was cruel. You took advantage of the fact that I would do anything for you. All those promises you never kept, all those moments when you used me as your safety net, while never seeing me as anything more than a backup plan." He opened his mouth to respond, but I raised my hand to stop him. "No. It's my turn to talk now. I spent years blaming myself, thinking maybe I wasn't good enough, that maybe the problem was me. But it wasn't. The problem was you. You never valued me because you knew I would always be there. But guess what? I won't be anymore." For a moment, he looked lost, maybe even regretful. "Charlotte, I never meant to hurt you. I didn't know how to handle it. You're important to me, but not enough," I finished for him, with a bitter smile. "And that's okay, Gabriel. I don't need to be enough for you. I just need to be enough for myself." I stood up before he could say anything else. I left the cafe feeling a mixture of relief and sadness. It was like I had finally lifted a weight off my shoulders, but at the same time, I was painfully aware that this weight had been a part of me for so long that I didn't know who I was without it. Mason was still around. He kept trying even when I was cold, even when there seemed to be no hope. And for the first time, I began to wonder if maybe I should give him a chance, not just to him, but to myself. A chance to be happy, to be loved by someone who truly cared. I knew the road wouldn't be easy. There were still so many memories to overcome, so many wounds to heal. But that night, as I looked at the small strawberry cake still sitting untouched on my table, I made a promise to myself. I would never let anyone treat me the way Gabriel had. I deserved more. And for the first time in years, I believed it. After that conversation with Gabriel, I felt as though I had closed an important chapter of my life. I thought confronting him would be the end of the cycle, but it was just the beginning. For the first time, the anger and resentment I had carried transformed into determination. It wasn't enough to leave Gabriel behind. I needed to rebuild my life from scratch, on my own terms. I started by focusing on myself. I threw myself into my studies, applied for a competitive internship, and, to my surprise, I got the position. Things were finally falling into place, and Mason was by my side every step of the way. He didn't pressure me or demand anything, but his constant, gentle presence gave me a comfort I had never known before. As my life progressed, I began to hear more about Gabriel through mutual friends. He and his boyfriend were still living their eternal honeymoon on social media, but rumors told a different story. Gabriel's manipulative tendencies hadn't changed, and now they were directed at his partner. It wasn't long before vague posts about fights and disagreements began to surface. It was clear their relationship was falling apart. One day, months later, I received something unexpected, a message from Gabriel. It wasn't long, just a timid attempt to rekindle our friendship. I ignored it completely. I knew he was only reaching out because his relationship was crumbling, but I wasn't the girl he could use as his emotional crutch anymore. Meanwhile, Mason continued to be the incredible person he had always been. Over time, I realized I was ready to open my heart again. When I finally accepted to go on a date with him, Mason made sure to make it special. He took me to a quiet place where we could talk about everything. For the first time, I felt like I was with someone who truly saw me. In the following months, our relationship blossomed. Mason didn't just treat me well, he encouraged me to grow. He was my biggest supporter when I decided to apply to a larger university to finish my degree. I spent months preparing, and when the acceptance letter came, he was the first to celebrate with me. As my life moved forward, I heard more news about Gabriel. He had broken up with his boyfriend, and the split was messy. Rumors of cheating and lies swirled, and he was alone, isolated from many of the friends who once surrounded him. While I didn't feel pity, I also didn't feel satisfaction. He had made his choices, just as I had made mine. Mason and I moved in together when I started my new academic journey. It was a fresh start in every way. We became partners not just in love, but in life. He helped me tackle the challenges of university, and I encouraged him to pursue his own dreams. In my final year of college, I received another unexpected message from Gabriel. It was long, filled with apologies and regrets. He admitted he had been selfish, that he had used me, and now he understood what he had lost. For the first time, he seemed sincere. But I didn't need that validation. My response was brief. I forgive you, Gabriel, but there's no space for you in my life. I hope you find peace. I sent the message and immediately blocked him. I didn't want to prolong the contact or allow him to be part of my story again. I had already moved on. Years later, my life was completely transformed. Mason and I got married in an intimate ceremony surrounded by people who truly mattered. I had built a solid career, and he had achieved great things as well. We had become the kind of partnership I never imagined was possible. As for Gabriel, I learned he remained trapped in destructive cycles. He never learned to value anyone but himself, and it seemed to leave him more alone with each passing year. In the end, my greatest revenge was my happiness. I didn't need to do anything to destroy Gabriel. He had taken care of that himself. My success, my peace, and my ability to leave the past behind were the real triumph. Looking back now, I see that everything I went through made me stronger and more aware of what I deserve. My life isn't perfect, but it's genuine, built on choices I made for myself, not to please or depend on someone else. And that, to me, is the greatest victory.